Author's note: the following is my personal account of the discovery of a mysterious transmission, allegedly from the future. All details contained herein are recorded as I witnessed them, without deliberate omissions or alterations. Given the extraordinary nature of these events, I ask that the reader keep an open mind. I am stationed at Fleming Base, located in a remote region of Arizona, USA, known for housing testing facilities and research labs for long-range communications. My role is to monitor radio signals and unusual frequency transmissions that could indicate espionage threats or mere atmospheric anomalies. In mid-April of 2025, we began noticing strange energy spikes in our readings. At first, we attributed this to technical issues, solar interference, or even hacker activity. But after ruling out all conventional hypotheses, we concluded there was something genuinely anomalous about these signals. 2 weeks ago, I was tasked with personally investigating a widely diffused broadband signal that appeared at irregular intervals. Early analyses showed erratic fluctuations and a sort of pulse reminiscent of non-standard modulations. When I finally isolated the signal, I came across something that completely altered my convictions about time, history, and the future of our planet. At 4:12 a.m. on April 17, 2025, I detected a much clearer signal than before. Even though I was exhausted from a double shift, I felt a chill run down my spine as I realized the captured audio talked about catastrophic events, something about the Great Silence and the Last Earth Legion. I immediately reported to my direct superior, Lieutenant Collins, who ordered a more in-depth analysis. I spent the next 48 hours virtually without sleep, decoding and cleaning up static noise. Gradually, the message became intelligible enough for us to understand its content. The biggest surprise was the language. It sounded like a variant of Portuguese, containing archaic expressions mixed with words that made no sense in any current dictionary. Luckily, we had the support of a civilian linguist, Dr. Eduardo Albuquerque, who concluded the message used expressions and neologisms that might, hypothetically, have evolved over more than 3 centuries. When news reached the base's top brass that we were dealing with a supposed 2342 transmission, reactions ranged from mockery to concern. Some whispered that this could only be a hoax orchestrated by a terrorist group aiming to sow panic. Others believed it was a sophisticated prank. However, the technical data did not lie. The signal originated on a frequency not listed in any military or civilian registry, and its spectral modulation did not match any known technologies. More intriguingly, analysis of its source pointed to the constellation Orion, thousands of light years away, or perhaps involving more than mere spatial distance. Fleming Base leadership decided to keep everything under wraps. Although I was just a private, I ended up in the core of the investigation for having been the first to decode part of the message. I thus headed up an ad hoc study group of scientists and cryptographers to analyze every nuance of the transmission. 3 days after discovering the signal, I received an attachment delivered by a high-ranking officer. He explained it came from higher instances and that we shouldn't ask too many questions. I opened the file and saw the following title: Confidential Report, Unified Earth Alliance Strategic Command Date, February 17, 2342 time, 1657 Earth Standard Time, EST. My first impulse was to think it was a forged document, but as I read each word, an indescribable chill gripped me. It purportedly came from the future, signed by a certain General Anya Petrova, addressed to a Supreme Council of the Unified Earth Alliance. Below is the exact transcript as it appeared in the file.
Confidential Report, Unified Earth Alliance Strategic Command Date, February 17th, 2342 time, 1657 Earth Standard Time, IST, from General Anya Petrova, Commander-in-Chief of the Planetary Defense Fleet O, Supreme Council of the Unified Earth. Alliance's subject, transcript and analysis of the anomalous audio message designation, Echo 2342 Earth Last. Esteemed Council members, this report details the discovery and preliminary analysis of an audio message of unknown origin received by Earth's deep listening stations in Sector Beta 7 at 9:12 EST today. The message, now designated Echo 2342 Earth Last, exhibits anomalous characteristics that demand the immediate, high-priority attention of this Council. The message was detected on a broadband frequency previously inactive and unused by any known alliance communications, or other cataloged interstellar entities. Initial spectrographic analysis indicates a complex frequency modulation signature corresponding to no standard 23rd century communication protocols. The source of the transmission remains undetermined, though preliminary triangulation points in the general direction of the constellation Orion at an estimated distance of data redacted according to Omega-level security protocol. The message itself is purely auditory in nature, with no visual or data components. Its total duration is 03 minutes and 47 seconds. The language employed is an evolved variant of Earth Portuguese, featuring archaic dialects and neologisms that initially hampered decoding. We attached the complete transcript for your review, Appendix 1, Preliminary Content Analysis. The message is alarming, describing a catastrophic planet-wide scenario. The speaker, identified only as Soldier KAI-7, Last Earth Legion, recounts events in the year 2342, the same year this message was received. The message includes the following details. The Great Silence. The speaker mentions a mass extinction event called the Great Silence that supposedly wiped out Earth's biosphere, eradicating most complex life forms. The precise cause of the silence is not clarified, though the speaker alludes to a systemic failure and irreversible ecological collapse. Civilization collapse. The message indicates the collapse of global human civilization, with society fragmenting into isolated factions and losing critical infrastructure. The Last Earth Legion appears to be a residual military force struggling to survive in a hostile, desolate environment. Desperate plea for help. The overall tone of the message is one of desperation and urgency. The speaker, KA7, makes a direct, emotional appeal for help from the past. He implores someone, anywhere who can hear, to take action to prevent the events that led to the 2342 catastrophe. The message ends abruptly with the phrase, "May Earth forgive us, and may you have better luck." Conclusion. The Echo 2342 Earth Last message represents a potentially existential event for the unified Earth Alliance. While its authenticity and interpretability remain uncertain, the possible gravity of its implications demands a proactive, coordinated response across all spheres of Earth society. History may not be set in stone, and perhaps, by heeding this echo from the future, we can change the course of the present. Respectfully, General Anya Petrova, Commander-in-Chief of the Planetary Defense Fleet.
This is Soldier KI-7, Last Earth Legion. If anyone is listening, anyone, please hear. We don't have much time. The silence. It's almost complete. Nobody survived. Not as we knew. It was the failure. The systemic failure, we warned them. The models, the forecast, but no one listened. Greed, inertia. We dug our own graves. Earth, she was so beautiful. I remember the blue skies, the green forests, the sound of the ocean. It's all gone. Ashes and silence now. Please, if you're listening, don't make the same mistakes. Learn from our end. The collapse is faster than you can imagine. Deeper. More. Complete. Help. If you can. Go back. Change the past. For us. For you. Last message. From Earth. 2342. I finished reading, drenched in sweat. The document spoke of a unified Earth alliance, of a planetary defense fleet, of an unimaginable ecological collapse. It felt like science fiction, but everything was there, seemingly stamped and sealed, though with an emblem I had never seen. When I presented my conclusions to Lieutenant Collins, he looked as stunned as I was. Within minutes, senior officers arrived, and I was instructed to maintain total secrecy. I was escorted to a restricted briefing room, where I was placed under surveillance to relay every detail I had discovered. Their reaction was pure shock. Some speculated this was a warning from the future. Others theorized about time travel experiments. Some even mentioned dimensional breaches or interstellar communications crossing the space-time continuum. Above all, there was fear that if the message was real, we were doomed unless we acted. In the following days, the base swarmed with scientists and intelligence analysts from various government departments. I saw experts from NASA, the Pentagon, OA, all trying to determine whether any scientific basis existed for the idea that a transmission could travel through time. No satisfactory explanation emerged. Theories ranged from wormholes to gravitational anomalies to large-scale qubit manipulation, yet everything remained conjecture. The fact remained that Dr. Albuquerque's linguistic analysis was consistent. The document used Portuguese terms that could only have evolved well beyond 2025. Moreover, the spectrographic signature of the signal confirmed that no known technology could have produced that exact modulation pattern. Finally, High Command established Protocol Aurora, an emergency program aimed at examining vulnerabilities in global infrastructure and ecosystems, seeking to prevent any systemic failure that might spark the collapse described in the message. I myself was assigned to a team analyzing geopolitical and environmental risks. A week after the circulation of the confidential report, we finished decoding almost all of the original audio message, now free of static. The voice of Soldier KAI-7 was hoarse, exhausted, filled with desperation. He described a scene of a ruined Earth where nothing thrived but dust and wind, a world where nearly all living species had perished, humans included, reduced to small militarized groups. The emotion in his voice was palpable. There was sorrow, but also guilt. "We dug our own graves," he repeated. Apparently, some sort of institutional selfishness coupled with irresponsible policies led to the so-called Great Silence. He also referenced dates that matched our year 2025, as if alluding to a last turning point. It gave us chills. Could this be the exact moment when we might, according to him, change the course of history? Despite the imposed secrecy, rumors leaked. Word spread online, in obscure forums, about a prophetic or future message. Some called it a hoax. Some claimed it was a government maneuver to sow panic. Protesters even gathered at the gates of Fleming Base, demanding the truth about the end of the world. In an attempt to manage the situation, the government issued vague official statements, only mentioning an ongoing intelligence investigation. I saw chaos growing. Every day I received reports about global warming, water shortages, political tensions among superpowers, each of them suspiciously aligned with the collapse described by Soldier KAI-7. At an ultra-secret meeting, renowned researchers raised a crucial point. Even if we accepted the message came from 2342, could we change the future? Or were these events already written into the fabric of time? Some physicists discussed theories of multiple timelines, suggesting that by simply receiving the message, we might create a new branch in history and avert the cataclysm. Others held a deterministic view, believing any attempt would be futile, as the collapse was inevitable. Regardless of the theories, High Command decided to act. They initiated environmental preservation programs, tightened nuclear safety protocols, promoted international cooperation treaties. The idea was to inoculate humanity against any potential triggers of a Great Silence. Today is April 21st, 2025. I'm in the small communications room at Fleming Base finishing this personal report. I admit that I'm afraid. How can we fight against fate if this transmission truly predicts our future? On the other hand, I feel a spark of hope. If this message has traversed some gap in time, perhaps it can serve as our final warning. Perhaps we can indeed prevent the end described by Soldier Kai-7. I reread for the umpteenth time his final words. Help, if you can. Go back. Change the past. For us. For you. Last message. From Earth. 2342. It's strange to think that from his perspective, we are the past. But for us, here in 2025, there is still so much to do. I don't know if we'll be able to alert the entire planet in time. I don't know if humanity will heed a supposed warning from the future, yet I cannot deny the responsibility I now bear. I heard the cry of a soldier begging us not to repeat the mistakes that drove our species to extinction. I record here what I saw, what I heard, and what I read. Whether or not we can truly rewrite this dark chapter in human history, I will do my duty and pass this information on to leaders, scientists, and civil society, to anyone who can listen. If this message is genuine, then here in 2025, we are living in the exact period when the forecasts went ignored. We have the chance to alter the course of events. We have the obligation to try. Ending this document, I depart with a mixture of fear and determination. May future generations, If they exist, never look upon us with the same despair carried in Soldier Kai-7's voice, and may the unified Earth Alliance, if it ever forms, be more than a belated response to an announced cataclysm, a foundation for a future in which life flourishes, free of the Great Silence. Private Jonathan Jack Miller, 75 Dumath. Intelligence and Communications Division, U.S. Army Fleming Base, Arizona, April 24, 2025.